On my daughter's 7th birthday, I received a phone call that nearly stopped my heart. A man with a thick accent said, "I want to purchase your child." I gripped my phone so hard I thought the glass would shatter. He sounded like he was finalizing a business deal. Before I could even process the horror, the line cut out. I bolted from my meeting, knocking my chair over, and sprinted for the parking garage. I called my wife, Sarah, while running. I was shouting into the phone. Sarah sounded stressed. "She's in an Uber coming home from school. I'm stuck at work, so I booked her a ride and gave them your number to call for the drop-off." "Why are you yelling? The driver just called and said he wants to buy our daughter," I screamed. "Call the police right now." I heard Sarah break down instantly, yelling for her colleagues to call 911. My mind was spiraling. Maya was so small and way too trusting. We had just given her a basic phone for emergencies, but I didn't even know if she'd think to use it. I called her over and over, but it kept going to voicemail. Sarah called back, hysterical, saying the police had the vehicle info, a silver sedan with a specific plate. I was driving like a madman around the school zone, my heart jumping every time I saw a silver car. 15 minutes felt like an eternity. I was on the verge of a total breakdown when Sarah called again. "They found her. They found her. Meet us at this address. The police have the driver and Maya is safe." I've never pushed a car that hard. When I arrived, 3 patrol cars were surrounding a silver Camry. My heart nearly burst when I saw Maya sitting on the sidewalk, perfectly unharmed, eating a slice of chocolate cake. She had frosting on her face and was chatting happily with a female officer. The driver was an older man, maybe in his late 60s, standing with 2 officers. He looked absolutely petrified, gesturing wildly and trying to explain himself in broken English. I snatched Maya up and held her so tight she gasped. Sarah arrived seconds later, and we just stood there sobbing. "Daddy, why are you being so dramatic?" Maya asked. "Mr. Omar gave me birthday cake. He said his shop had extra and it was going to be wasted. Look, he even wrote Happy 7th on it." She showed us the cake with her name piped in purple icing. An officer walked over to explain the confusion. Mr. Omar owned a small, struggling bakery. When Maya mentioned it was her birthday during the ride, he wanted to do something kind with some leftover stock. He tried to call me to ask, "Can I give your child a birthday cake from my bakery?" But his limited English made it sound like, "I want to buy your child." The poor man was mortified once he realized the panic he'd caused. Through a translator, he kept apologizing and showing us photos of his own grandkids. He was just a grandfatherly soul trying to make a kid's day special. I felt a wave of guilt, but the relief was so overwhelming I couldn't be angry. We visited his bakery the following week and bought enough treats to feed my entire department. When my manager mentioned needing a regular courier for the company, I made sure to recommend Mr. Omar. Also, I ended up divorcing my wife a year later. The divorce wasn't because of the cake. It was because of the phone call that happened before the police arrived. While I was racing through the streets, white-knuckled and praying, Sarah was the one who had booked the car. She was the one who was supposed to be watching Maya, but the reason she was stuck at work wasn't a meeting or a deadline. I'm sitting in the driveway of our new house now, watching Maya play on the lawn. She's 8 now, and she still asks about the cake man. I make sure we visit Mr. Omar every month, but every time I see a silver Camry, my stomach still does a somersault. The day after the incident, once the adrenaline had faded and Maya was safely tucked into bed, I picked up Sarah's iPad to check the delivery status of a gift. A notification popped up from a messaging app she thought I didn't know about. It was from a colleague, not a work message. Asterisk, that was a close one. Glad the kid is okay. We should probably wait until next week for the hotel. Asterisk, the room went cold. I scrolled back through the logs. The day of Maya's birthday, the day she was supposedly stuck at work, Sarah had been at a bar 3 blocks away from the school. She had booked the Uber for our 7-year-old because she didn't want to cut her happy hour short. She had risked our daughter's safety for a drink and a secret. When I confronted her, she didn't even have the decency to lie. She just looked at me with this hollow, exhausted expression and said, "I'm tired of being a mother, David. I'm tired of the schedule. I'm tired of everything." The realization that the man trying to buy our child was actually the only person showing Maya any kindness that afternoon was a bitter pill to swallow. Mr. Omar, a stranger with a language barrier, cared more about my daughter's birthday than her own mother did. The legal battle was short. I had the logs. I had the GPS data from her phone showing she wasn't at the office. I got full custody. Sarah moved to a different city and sends a card once a year. Maya doesn't ask about her much. Kids are perceptive. They know who shows up and who just books a ride. Last week, I took Maya to the bakery. Mr. Omar was behind the counter, his face lighting up when he saw her. He's doing well now. The corporate contracts I helped him get turned his business around. He doesn't do Uber anymore. He just bakes. He came around the counter and handed Maya a small cupcake topped with a purple flower. "For the birthday girl?" he asked, his English much better now. "It's not my birthday yet, Mr. Omar." Maya laughed. "Every day you come here is a birthday," he said with a wink. As we walked back to the car, I looked at Maya. She was happy, she was safe, and she was eating cake. I realized that the worst day of my life had actually saved us. It pulled back the curtain on a marriage that was already dead and introduced us to a man who became like a grandfather to her. I'm not a hero for driving through red lights. I was just a father who was late to the truth. But now, the truth is all we have, and it tastes a lot better than that first slice of chocolate cake. Would you like me to describe a scene where Maya and David helped Mr. Omar with a big event at his bakery? Or perhaps explore how David navigated his first year as a single father? The first year of being a single father felt like learning to walk in the dark. I had to redefine what safe meant for us. The fear from that day, the sound of Omar's voice on the phone, the sight of the silver car didn't just vanish. It transformed into a hyper-vigilance that I had to work hard to keep from suffocating Maya. I'm at the kitchen table every Sunday night, meal prepping and color-coding a calendar that Sarah used to ignore. It was exhausting, but there was a peace in the house that hadn't existed before. No more whispered phone calls in the other room. No more late nights at the office that left Maya waiting at the window. One afternoon, about 8 months after the divorce was finalized, I was picking Maya up from a playdate. I felt my chest tighten, my hand instinctively gripping Maya's shoulder a little too hard. "Daddy, you're doing the face again," Maya said, looking up at me. "What face, sweetie?" "The scared of cars face. It's just a car, Dad. And look, it's not even Mr. Omar's kind." I took a deep breath, forcing my muscles to relax. She was right. I couldn't let my trauma become her cage. I leaned down and kissed the top of her head. "You're right. I'm sorry. How about we go see the real Mr. Omar?" We drove to the bakery, which had expanded thanks to the contracts I'd helped set up. Omar was no longer just a man with a struggling shop. He was a local staple. He had hired 2 more bakers and a delivery driver who actually spoke fluent English. When we walked in, the smell of cinnamon and yeast hit me me like a warm blanket. Omar was teaching a small class of kids how to knead dough. He looked up, his eyes crinkling into that familiar grandfatherly smile. "David, Maya, you are just in time," he called out. "We are making the special rolls today." Maya ran over to join the group, donning a tiny apron Omar kept behind the counter just for her. "She grows fast," he said softly. "She has your eyes, but she has a spirit that is all her own. She's resilient," I said. "Better than me, honestly." Omar put a heavy, flour-dusted hand on my arm. "You did the hard thing, David. To protect the child is the first job. The rest is just baking. Sometimes the dough rises, sometimes it falls. You just start again." That stayed with me. Asterisk. You just start again. Asterisk. Later that evening, while Maya was asleep, I finally deleted the folder of evidence I'd kept on my laptop from the divorce. The screenshots of Sarah's messages, the GPS logs, the photos of the bar. I didn't need them anymore. They were part of a story that was over. I went into Maya's room and watched her sleep for a moment. She looked so peaceful, a far cry from the terrified girl I'd imagined on her 7th birthday. Omar hadn't just given her a cake that day. He had given me the truth. He had been the catalyst that forced me to see that the person I was trusting to co-pilot my life was actually steering us toward a cliff. We aren't a broken family. We're a rebuilt one. And every time we sit down to eat a treat from the bakery, I'm reminded that sometimes a terrifying misunderstanding is exactly what you need to find where you truly belong. Would you like me to describe Maya's 9th birthday celebration at the bakery? Or perhaps focus on a moment where Sarah tries to reappear in their lives? The silence of the house that first year was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. It wasn't just the absence of Sarah's voice, it was the absence of the tension I hadn't realized I was carrying. For years, I had been walking on eggshells, thinking the floor was just naturally fragile. It took a near catastrophe, and a bakery owner named Omar to show me that the foundation was actually rotten. Standing in the kitchen on a Tuesday night, exactly 14 months since the divorce papers were filed. Maya is at the table, tongue poked out in concentration as she colors a map for school. The cake incident is a distant memory to her, something she brings up with a giggle, but for me, it remains the moment my life split into before and after. The after is better, even if it's harder. A few weeks ago, I received an email from Sarah. It was the first time she'd reached out beyond a generic holiday card. She said she was finding herself in her new city and wanted to talk to Maya on FaceTime. I didn't delete it immediately. I sat with it for an hour, looking at my daughter. I thought about the silver Camry, the bar 3 blocks from the school, and the look on Mr. Omar's face when he realized he'd accidentally sparked a police manhunt. I realized then that Sarah didn't want to see Maya. She wanted to see if I'd softened, if the gatekeeper was tired enough to let her back in for a little ego boost. I didn't let her. I replied with a brief, professional note stating that Maya was doing well and that any communication should go through my lawyer, as per our custody agreement. I wasn't being cruel. I was being a father. I was finally the man I thought I was that day I blew through the red lights. One Saturday morning, Maya and I were at the bakery helping Mr. Omar prepare for a large charity gala. He had landed the contract for the local hospital's fundraiser, and the shop was a whirlwind of flour and sugar. "David, please, take these to the cooling rack," Omar barked with a grin, handing me a tray of hot lemon tarts. He looked at Maya, who was meticulously placing edible gold flakes on chocolate truffles. "And you, little boss, make sure the alignment is perfect. We are professionals today." Maya beamed. She loved being little boss. As the afternoon rush slowed down, Omar pulled 2 stools up to the back counter. He poured me a coffee and gave Maya a glass of milk. "You know, David," he said, leaning his elbows on the counter, "in my country we have a saying, the fire that burns the forest also clears the ground for the strongest trees." I looked at Maya, who was currently trying to explain to a delivery driver why his tie was crooked. She was strong. She was kind. She was exactly the person she was meant to be. "I think the ground is pretty clear now, Omar," I said. "It is," he nodded, "and the fruit is sweet." We sat there in the back of that warm, fragrant shop, a divorced father, a resilient daughter, and a baker who had once accidentally terrified them both. It wasn't the family I had planned for on Maya's 7th birthday, but it was the one we had built. I'm no longer the man who sprints out of meetings in a blind panic. I'm the man who knows exactly who is picking his daughter up, exactly where she is, and exactly how much she is loved. The silver sedan is just a car now. The phone calls are just conversations. And the cake? The cake is just a reminder that even when things sound terrifying, there might just be something sweet waiting on the other side. Would you like me to describe Maya's first day of middle school, or a moment where she finally confronts her mother's absence on her own terms?